Hey guys, so I wanted to take an opportunity to show you guys where we stay for the summertime on Puffin, and also White River, Puffin's big sister. We are in Monroe Harbor in Chicago, and Monroe Harbor has a massive mooring field. There's over 400 boats in the harbor, and there are two yacht clubs in Monroe Harbor. There's the Chicago Yacht Club, which is a little bit more of the upscale, and there's Columbia Yacht Club, which is a little bit more laid back. We've been a part of Columbia Yacht Club for the last 7 years, and it is actually, the club is a large ship that used to be an icebreaker up in Canada called the Abegweit. We call it the Abbey. So I'd like to take an opportunity to bring you guys in, show you the club, show you everything she has to offer. So come on in, let me show you around. So the first thing you're going to see when you come onto the yacht club is you're going to see the rail deck. So the rail deck is where they actually brought on rail cars to deliver up to Prince Edward Island. I believe they could put 4 or 5 deep, and they were 3 wide. So they would bring them on, take the goods over to the island, put the empty ones back on to bring back to the mainland. Now it's used as a teaching space for the sailing school. They'll use it for an entertaining space. Anytime there's a race, you'll have tons of sailors down here. We actually have the White Cap, which is a spot where you can go and get refreshments, beer, pretzels, chips, water, Gatorades, things like that. And they can also help you with anything you need out on the dock. So we'll do a walk down the dock and I'll show you what the dock looks like. But this is the rail deck, first thing you see when you come in. And we've got a couple different levels on here we're gonna go around, so let's keep moving and I'll show you a few other things. So we're on the second level now, and this is Lounge B. So most of the ship has been kept about the way that it was when it was in service. So a few things have been updated and changed some. They've updated things and made it a little bit more modern, but this is what it looked like back in the 1960s, 1970s when the ship was in service. So I'm gonna show you this level, I'm gonna show you the bar, the restaurant, I'm gonna take you up and show you the bridge, which is really cool. Let's go take a look at the bar, and then I'll show you the rest of the ship. All right, so we're in the bar here at the Abbey, and after a race day, a Wednesday night race, on weekends, trivia nights, there's all kinds of things going on here. It's a full service bar. It's one of the best bars of a yacht club that I've seen. I'm in here all the time doing my work, so we use it for an office in the daytime before we go out for races on Wednesdays. It's a great place to entertain people, and the bar is great service. Food here is amazing as well. You can get food delivered to the bar, or you can go into the restaurant. So let me go show you the dining area and show you what that looks like. So behind me is the formal dining room. This is where you come in for your more formal guests. It's a great space. They've done a really good job with capturing the original feel of the dining room, but also updating it and making it a little bit nicer. So this is a great space also. So one of the best places to sit and have a drink or a meal and get a great view of the Chicago skyline is out here on the rail. And empty today, but in the summertime and after a race or on a really big weekend, this place is just completely packed. You get a nice cool breeze coming through, or a warm breeze depending on the day. You get a great view of the harbor and all the boats that are sitting out here, and it's just it's a great spot. You can actually watch people coming up and dock and criticize their docking, because all boaters like to do that. But this is a great space to be also, and it's all part of the food service area. So this is the upper salon, Salon A, and they use this space for meeting space. They do a lot of classes, captain's classes, and different classes for teaching sailing, and all of the classroom stuff you would do up here. So great space up here as well. So one of my favorite spaces in the club on the boat is the library. It's a small library, but it's pretty cool. Lots of old books. People donated tons of different sailing books, history books, picture books, just all kinds of stuff up here is really cool. There's also a great place to take a cat nap if you need to. But this is a great space to get away, where it's quiet, do some work, relax, read a book. It's just a nice spot. Another thing that the club has to offer. Another thing that the ship has is the radio room, and this original radio room has now been converted to be for licensed ham radio operators. So they use this as an amateur radio, and they reach out and they talk to everywhere from Canada, South America. They've actually got a little thing over here that shows all the places that they've talked to from this radio room, so it's pretty cool. So here we are on the bridge. This looks pretty much exactly the way it did when the ship was decommissioned from its delivery services to Prince Edward Island. So All the controls are still up here. The controls don't do anything anymore, but they've done some things for the kids. They put some lights and some sound effects on it, so it kind of has that feel to it. The boat actually does not move and can't move. At one point, it was actually sitting on the bottom of the lake in the harbor here when the water level was as low as it was probably about 10, 12 years ago. But it is floating. It stays on this permanently fixed dock. It doesn't move anywhere. And we'll talk a little bit about how the ship was driven, because it was actually really cool what they did. And this was a very unique boat when it came out. So, but this is the bridge. You can actually have dinner up here, so you can bring all your guests. Great view of the skyline and the walking path on Lakeshore Drive. You can also see out into the harbor. So just a really, really cool spot. This is also a great place to come up and sneak away and get a little bit of work done. Super quiet. I consider this like my office away from the office and away from home. So really cool spot. Kids love coming up here, and they can play with all this stuff. They're not going to break anything. Well, I don't think they're going to break anything, but they can play with all this stuff and turn the wheel and adjust the controls, and it's a lot of fun for them. I actually have all of the, not all of, but a lot of original charts are still here on the chart table. So it's kind of cool to look at those and look at the notes that were put in, 40 years ago, and just to kind of take a look at everything that they did and how they were doing it by charts and not GPS. So now what I want to do is go down and show you one of the things on this boat that was really special. So let's go take a look. So the Abbey is a big steel ship. It also has 8 diesel motors which turn 4 electromotive motors, and that's how it creates its propulsion. That's all really, really good unless you need a compass. So what this is because a regular magnetic compass would get all messed up with the steel and everything on the ship, including the electrical current that's going through off of those motors. This is a gyroscopic compass, and it's really, really cool. I can't get into all the details of how it works, but basically it uses friction with the gyroscope. And when it is pointed to the north, it has less friction or little to no friction, and that's just kind of how the whole thing works. So I'm going to put a link down below because I'm doing it a terrible disjustice on how it works. I'll put a link down below to the wiki page so you understand exactly how the gyroscope works. But this was a really, really important thing for the ship and did its job very, very well. This is the gyroscopic compass. So this is the compass room. It had its own room. This is 1960s technology that worked very, very well for its time, and still could be used today, but now we've got GPS and all that other fancy stuff. So, but this is a really cool thing to see, is this old gyroscopic compass. So this is the aft deck. This is the largest entertaining space, and this area is used for weddings, post-race parties, different events and get-togethers. You can actually rent out this space. It's a really, really good spot, and the location is amazing to be able to give your guests the views of the city that you get, the views of the lake. You just don't get it from anywhere else. So this is a great, great spot. So this is the view from the top deck. Not a bad spot to be.
So I'm super excited about this part. This is actually my first time being down here, so we're going to go and do a tour. I asked the club if it was okay if I went down. They gave me full access, so be careful. You'll see why. But this is my first time being down here, and let's take a look and see what she looks like. It's actually really, really cool. So these are pretty steep, and you can see that is a long drop. So we're going to turn around and do this the safe way. Goes on down. All right, so these are the massive electric motors that drove the shafts, and those shafts are huge. They're like at least 18-20 inch shafts that went back. There's 2 shafts per side, and there's 2 props aft and 2 props forward, each on port and starboard. So the diesel engines, which is through there, we'll look at in a minute, drove these electric motors, which drove these shafts all the way out to the prop. One of the advantages of having two props forward and aft and having these completely separately driven is you could drive one of them clockwise and the other counterclockwise, and you can, in effect, you could, if you stopped this one, you could run the forward and the aft at the same time, and you could literally walk the ship right over to the dock. It could turn very easily because you could prop walk both front and aft, forward and aft. So it was just a really, really easy way. They didn't have to use a barge to pull this thing in. So here is watertight hatch, goes in and locks, and that is if you breached the hull either in the forward or aft compartment, this could be completely closed off so that it did not flood everything else. So let's step through here. This is the workshop. All kinds of cool stuff in here. Got some old covers, got a couple old spotlights, which are really cool. All the different stuff that they would need to work on this ship. A couple of old lights. I would love to get my hands on one of those. Put it at the bar at the house. A lot of copper, old gauges. Just really, really cool stuff. Yeah, so this is where I'm sure there were some guys in this workbench working constantly keeping this ship going. So we'll go all the way to the aft portion. A little dark through here. Come up these stairs. All right, so this, I believe, is for the rudder. I believe. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this controlled the rudders. So massive motors just for the rudders. So then that's the aft bulkhead. The size of these bulkheads are just so cool being down here. A couple more storage areas. That area over there. All right, let's come back through into the dark. All right, let's step through back into the aft generator room, or actually, I'm sorry, aft electric motor room. I'm going to step through to the aft engine room. Huge engine room. This ceiling is, it's 20 feet tall. Exhaust manifold. And here's our diesel engines. 4 diesel motors per compartment for redundancy, 2 for each shaft. I cannot imagine the amount of noise going on down here when these things were all running. Little control panel. Go through to the other side. And 2 more massive diesel engines. At the time, this was some of the most advanced technology that they had for making this ship go. Boilers, I believe. All right, so that's the aft engine room. Again, massive bulkhead that would seal and lock in the event of flooding. And we are into the forward engine room. Again, 4 massive diesel motors. Another boiler. So someone would have been standing here monitoring all this stuff. It's pretty cool. Standing orders for bunkering. This is the ship's generator. So it had its own diesel engine for its generator. I believe it's a 6-cylinder. Double check that. 4-cylinder, big 4-cylinder diesel generator. And this is just for the power on the ship. So this didn't drive any of the motors. This just provided the power for lighting and everything else on the ship. All right, let's go up to the control room. This is really cool up here. We'll step through. And this is the control room. So this is where the bridge would communicate with the engine room, and the engine room would control everything. So head and stern, got all this stuff. We got a chief engineer control room phone, so you can communicate back and forth. A bunch of lights telling you what was on and off. Blower motors, voltage, like 7,000 amps. Whole voltage regulator. I believe these pipes are how you would communicate. We need to have the phone. There's another phone. More controls. So DC volts, you can decrease the voltage or the amperage. So here's decreasing voltage, decreasing amperage on the different generators. That's really cool. Yep. So that is the control room. And we'll go forward here and we'll go up out of this. Here's 2 more of our massive electric motors. And again, those shafts down there, one on each side, run forward to the props. And floors are a little more sketchy on that forward section, so I'm not going to go up there today. But this has been the below decks of the Abbey. Well, that's about it. So I really hope that you've enjoyed getting a chance to take a look at the Abbey, both inside and out. She's a great yacht club. If you are coming in from out of town, I do recommend coming in and paying a visit. Check her out. You do need reciprocity from another yacht club outside of the 50-mile range. Other than that, find one of us. We'll take you up, buy you a drink at the bar. See you on the next one.